Thank you for joining XROM, India's first AR/VR focused podcast. I'm your host, Eddie Evelyn. Today, I'm delighted and honored to have with me Mr. Ivan Gappelberg, who is the founder of NexTech 3D.ai. And the portfolio companies under his acquisitions are ARway, which is an Indo AR navigation tool, Toggle 3D.ai, an AI powered 3D design studio, ARway.ai, and MapD. He also happens to be a podcaster. So, Ivan, really appreciate you taking time being part of the podcast. Can you start with, possibly your journey, your background, how you founded 3D Tech, and what got you interested in AR technology, spatial computing?
It started a long time ago when I was a teenager. I actually became a Series 7 stockbroker going back all the way to the 1980s. And I lived through the 1990s, the whole internet boom. And what I learned was that, there's always the new thing in the market. There's always, back then it was the internet. And then, you had the high-speed internet, high-speed dial-up. You had dial-up modems, and then it went to high speed. Right now it's always on, right? The internet, like we're doing the streaming now. But back then you had to dial up and everything was very slow to load. And so what I learned back then in my formative days was technology is never going to stay static. It's constantly changing. And there's this game of leapfrog that goes on. And if you can catch the wave, if you can actually identify the next big thing in technology, there's an opportunity there to become very, very wealthy and successful in your investments. And so that's where it began. That was the kind of the mindset going back 30 years. And so fast forward, I became a hedge fund manager. I became an entrepreneur. I had a app portfolio company with 500 apps on the App Store. And then I saw the emerging cannabis trend, actually, going back to 2010. And I was trying to convince public company CEOs in the US to step into cannabis. And they were like, "Are you crazy, Evan? I'm going to go to jail." I don't want to go to jail. So I discovered Canada. Canada is an interesting place. Canada allowed cannabis to go forward under a federal regulation. It became legal. And so I was able to actually get a public company in Canada listed and traded that was a cannabis producer. And, early investors saw a 40x return on their money in 18 months. And then I thought I was done, Eddie. I was kind of like, you know what? That's a nice spot to kind of ring the bell. Like that's kind of like, winning the Super Bowl or the World Series or something in investing. And so I was thinking of exiting, but just when I think I'm out, somebody pulls me back in. And so I was introduced to augmented reality. And when I saw augmented reality, I kind of had that aha moment. I was like, okay, this is the future. This is 2017. So all of a sudden, I start doing research. I see AR Kit, AR Core get launched, Apple and Google, right? Q4 2017, 2018. And I decide, you know what? I'm going to raise a couple of $1 million. I raised $3 million from myself and my friends, and I'm going to go public in Canada again, because in Canada, you can do crazy things. They let you do pretty much what you want as a startup. That's an important piece of the puzzle for me. And so I went public with really a back of the napkin idea that augmented reality, 3D, and AI were going to be the next big thing. This is 2018. So it turned out, Eddie, that I was way early. 5 years early is, way early in tech land. But I pivoted. We ended up, raising $70 million for these ventures through public financing. And here we are today, the dawn of a new era. 3D modeling, augmented reality, generative AI are all the hot technologies of today. But I actually identified it back in 2017, 2018, and now it's all playing out, because Apple stepped in with the Vision Pro. I thought they were going to do that in 2020, 2021. I was predicting 2022, the drum beats were going, right? And I was like, okay, the AR glasses have to drop. That is the future. I'm totally a believer that the glasses are going to replace the phone. And so I was thinking it had to happen, but as it turned out, it just happened in February of 2024. So I am very, very excited about the future. I've been waiting. We've been developing technology. We've invested tens of millions of dollars in AI, in AR, and in 3D modeling. And so, yeah, it's an exciting time for sure, Eddie. I hope that
Right,
answers your
right. No, no,
question.
completely. So, Ivan, yes, I mean, exciting times in the journey, 30 years, I'm sure you've seen the ups and downs and the rise and fall of these tech stack, and you mentioned it's so important to kind of catch the wave, because somehow from a linear tech stack, I think we've gone into the world where things are exponential and it's very difficult to kind of predict what's going to happen next. So we got into the space where as much, I mean, I don't think anybody kind of has a clear picture of what's going to happen in next 10 years. I'm sure there are obviously, I mean, some of the brightest mind futurists who have got some assumptions, but the way things are going, I don't think anybody's gotten assumptions what's going to happen. So, but I think it's exciting space, and you rightfully pointed out, I think AR leverage mixed converging with 3D and artificial intelligence, which is in the hype cycle, is going to completely upend the world, and we definitely going to move from carrying technology to wearing technology, where we will replace the phones, and we'll get into these HMDs, though even now these headsets are extremely I mean, it's very, very expensive. I hope it comes to, with the miniaturization of technology which is going on, possibly we'll get something like this, or maybe even lenses, and maybe a brain computer interface. So exciting as well as scary place, because you don't really know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
In this
So
don't really know what's going to happen, what would be your suggestion, your advice to, said catch the wave? What's the wave that you think, what's the insight that you have over there to catch the wave? And also possibly talk about NexTech 3D.ai.
So I just want to address what you said about the glasses that, nobody has them, they're expensive. All true. But remember where I started, dial-up modems. I bought my first computer. I spent $5,000 on a Dell state-of-the-art uh, big box that sat on my desk, right? The monitor was this big, it was like it weighed like I don't know, 30 pounds or something, and it was just this giant, box that sat on my desk. It was ugly. But I wanted the latest and greatest. I paid $5,000. Think of what you can get today for $5,000. And it was slow as shit. It was very compared to today. I mean, it took forever to load internet pages. And then all of a sudden, high-speed internet showed up. But, billions of dollars were invested in cable networks, and all of a sudden, high speed shows up. Okay, so now you don't need the telephone. It's done over coaxial cable, right? And so it's the same trajectory that the glasses are on. It starts out where it's just very limited usage. It's expensive, just like the computers used to be expensive, right? And then all of a sudden, the technology starts to take hold and the cost comes down and everybody starts adopting it and, different features and functionality. So today, everything moves quickly. Back then, it would take a decade, 5 or 10 years to actually have that happen. My belief, Eddie, is that everybody's going to be using some form of glasses in the next 3 years. And, they're not all going to be, the same. Some of them will just maybe show you your phone. What's on your phone will be on your glasses. I mean, that's what the Vision Pro kind of does. I have a pair of the Vision Pro glasses. I went out and bought them $4,000, just like I bought the Dell computer right back in 1995. Here it is, 2024. I'm buying the latest and greatest technology. So I'm always interested in what's new. And from my perspective, you were talking about the future. I see a future that actually is a little dangerous. I see a future where, you know, we as humans keep on challenging ourselves to create something new and exciting in tech land, more productivity. At the end of the day, the productivity enhancement that we're seeing from ChatGPT and all these AI, kind of bots is massive. And at the same time, it's going to massively displace a lot of people, a lot of jobs. And I definitely believe that the top, 1% are going to get ridiculously wealthy and that everybody else is going to be left behind because the productivity for a multi-billion dollar company means, the AI means it's going to replace jobs. Their bottom lines are going to get fatter. They're going to make more money. And we're going to, everyone else is going to have to reinvent themselves, in terms of like, what do we do? So, I was thinking about this the other day. Well, what area is like a safe haven from AI where you could be in business and not worry that AI is going to put you out of business, right? Food. I can't imagine an AI chef. Can you, Eddie? I mean, like, you know what? If you create something, so I think people have to start thinking a little differently. Jensen, the CEO of NVIDIA, he came out and said, "Hey, don't be a coder. That's what you were supposed to be, right? When, if you go back 5, 10 years, everybody's trying to become a coder. That's like the new hot job. Well, guess what? AI, it's prompt engineering and prompt marketing and prompt legal and prompt this and prompt that. So if you look at all those prompts to AI, that's just for it, like data that it's working through to create some kind of enhanced productivity. And so people's jobs are going away. I just want that to be on the table and crystal clear. You talk about what's the future bring? The future brings a much more complicated world where the machines, and it's like out of the Terminator, like what if you look at movies somehow fiction, these movies turn into reality. So what's my reality? My reality is I founded NexTech. NexTech is traded in the US NEXCF. It's traded in the CSE, the Canadian Stock Exchange, NTAR. And basically, I looked at it as a fun house. We made 10 acquisitions over 5 years of transformative technology, human hologram technology, AI technology for 3D model making, and on and on and on. And so some of the tech turned into commercial products. We spent money commercial, and then we decided, you know what, let's spin them out as their own public companies. And so what ended up happening is I have three companies now that I'm CEO of. One is NexTech 3D.ai. We supply Amazon with 3D models for e-commerce. We use generative AI to increase our productivity, right? So it used to be we needed a lot of humans to make the 3D models. Now we need less humans. The machine learning is actually doing more of the work and we become more profitable. That's NexTech. Then we have Toggle 3D.ai, which is a 3D texturing platform that uses Gen AI. No human interaction there other than pointing and clicking. That's the tech, point and click. Super simple. Anyone could do it. It's like Adobe, only you don't need to be a graphic designer. You just point and click. You could use it today, Eddie. And then the last technology platform that we launched as a public company is ARway, which is a spatial computing platform that does indoor navigation and augmented reality experiences. It's an augmented reality experience platform that's really works really well with the glasses, but it also works really well with the phone. So it works on all the 3 billion phones that are out there, but we built it so that it's forward thinking in terms of the technology. It integrates with Apple's Vision Pro. In fact, they invited us to their headquarters. And so I look at it all as, hey, I want to explore all these technologies. I want to monetize and think about how can I apply them to a business. And I literally come up with a business model. I do a ton of research. I, bring a team together. I raise some money, and then we go for it.
You gave a glimpse of what the future you think is going to look like with the optimization which is going on currently with AI tech. We constantly enhancing and optimizing for things. And yes, what's that going to do is for sure that it's going to lead to automation and lots of job loss. And I hope that maybe we have some kind of an answer for that collectively, as a society, as governments who come together and kind of find some answers. Because what the world, if we actually get into a world like that, which will, I'm sure, lead to some kind of a civil unrest. And I don't think we want something like that. There are a lot of, obviously, I mean, besides these negatives, there are a lot of positives, because for the first time in human history, we're getting into a point where we are democratizing artificial intelligence, where anybody and anyone can, I mean, find a way and design, create text to images, text to 3D, text to code, and so on and so forth. So exciting as well as scary. So how do we tread the fine line is a question that needs to be answered. You have acquired quite a lot of companies. I'm going to start from backward, because ARway, there's an Indian co-founder, Nikhil Sawlani. And Nikhil and Sawlani, me, we go a long way. I've known him since 2016. He's the
Really?
co-founder of ARway.
Yep.
What got you interested in acquiring ARway? And maybe you can also, ARway is now, rechristened ARway.ai. What's the new functional tools and capabilities that's been added onto ARway? Will be great if you can talk about that.
So really great that you know Nick. I love Nick. And a lot of the reason why I acquired ARway is because of Nick. He was, one of the co-founders. The other co-founders not with us anymore, but they were very young, but very capable people, and I saw, a lot of potential with what they had built, which was kind of a prototype. And I'm all for supporting the next generation, for young kids. Nick, early 20s, his co-founder was a teenager. And my team told me no. My tech team said, don't do it. And I actually thought about it, and I was like, yeah, it is kind of crazy acquiring, tech from these young kids. Like, you don't know what's going to happen. That maybe they're going to meet a girlfriend and check out, right? You never know, right? So it was a bit risky. But for me, life is risky. Getting up and walking across the street is risky, right? You never know. So I was willing to take the risk. I'm a risk taker. And I saw their vision, and I shared their vision. And so we put our chips on the table and we acquired them. And it turned out to be the best tech that actually I think we have at the company. And the most exciting to me, anyway. And Nick's done a phenomenal job building the tech and sticking with the project over a long period of time, which is not easy for young people to do. They get distracted a lot, right? And there's always a better offer and yada yada. So I'm really proud of Nick. really, I'm proud of even my decision to go against my team and acquire the tech. And now it's in market and experiencing a groundswell of excitement and enthusiasm from customers. We're signing up customers on a regular basis. Every week, more people are signing up onto the platform. And as you mentioned, we just released the 3.0 version of the SDK, which is a big upgrade over the 2.7. You know, there's a lot of features and functionality in the ARway technology, and it's very, very exciting to me to see how it keeps on developing. Today's release, we actually just released today, peripheral marker tracking, advanced SLAM. SLAM essentially means the ARway, sticks to the floor. The AR sticks to the floor. It doesn't just float into space, which it used to do a little bit of. Anchored floor plan pegs, updated location pin indicators, low light and stability notification, drift notification. There's a whole bunch of things that the tech has, really started to show for our investors and also for our developers, the people that are actually using it. The technology keeps getting better. Our job is to keep on developing the tech. And so, but I do want to get back to this broader topic, Eddie, because I find it fascinating to talk about, like, where is AI going? And I know nobody can predict the future, but I do want you to think about the current state of uh, people. And really, that's what ultimately this is all about, like people and personalities. So in this world we live in, you do have people that do hack. I got hacked. Sure, you got hacked. Everybody gets hacked a little bit here and there. Some people's bank accounts get hacked. Some people's Bitcoin accounts get hacked. Some people's emails get hacked. There's this constant game of whack-a-mole. Okay. So I want you to think about that. And I want you to think about AI playing a role where you have essentially the AI hackers and then you have the AI police, where they're competing for who has the faster, better AI. Now, the AI hackers are already running. The question is, where is the AI police? Does it even exist? My belief, unfortunately, is that AI, you mentioned democratized. Yes, that's good and bad. You've unleashed a very, very explosive, very, very powerful technology to good use and bad use. I was watching some guy who was talking about viruses and how the AI can create a nasty, virus that wipes out the planet, and there's no cure. I mean, who would do something like that? It's like a nuclear, right, explosion. There are crazy people out there. Let's just be clear, and Eddie, like, we're not, but there are crazy people. And so I'm not negative on AI. I'm just saying it is a very peculiar time where, if you think of all the dangerous things on the planet, they're locked up somewhere. We can't get to those dangerous things. I mean, you can get to guns in the US. Everyone has a gun, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't have there's no population killer technology out there that's been available to the general public until now. And that is a little bit weird and scary if you think about it, that you can actually use AI for good and for bad. I think the number one thing that society should be thinking about is regulating AI. If you go back to OpenAI and the battle that's kind of going on behind the scenes, you got Elon Musk talking about how it was supposed to be a non-for-profit and it was supposed to be for good. And now it's been unleashed by Sam Altman, and you have this big battle going on. and it's now for profit, right? And so that's fascinating and scary because clearly they knew that it shouldn't go public, but somehow it went public. And now it's like Pandora's box. You can't put it back in once it's out. And so the question is, where does it go? And my thinking, Eddie, is that unless the regulators step in, and I think the EU already came out with some
Right.
regulatory body, right? But unless there's a global AI regulatory, consortium, we are in for a very, very rocky ride.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, I hear you. And yes, I mean, we really do not know how it's going to pan out. Yes. So, but yes, we need to be cognizant about the capabilities, growing capabilities of AI. Uh, Talking a little bit, dwelling maybe in the AI and the automation zone. You were mentioning earlier during the course of the conversation that you've been building with Next 3D, building a lot of these 3D models for Amazon.
Yeah.
And then you've shifted because generative AI happened, and there are these tools. I'm sure there are tools that you're building, which has got the capability of creating text to 3D or even image to 3D. And then you mentioned about Toggle 3D, that it's a tool for 3D texturing and so on and so forth. Maybe talk a
Yes.
little bit more about that.
In terms of our technology, it's very visual technology. When you see it, you go, oh, aha, I get it. Okay, so we could talk about it, but it's better, if you're able to see it. So imagine a 3D model is basically composed of two parts. One is what's called a mesh. That's, let's just call it a box, a white box that you would see. And, so a couch has a mesh and it's just all white. And so that's, we create quad meshes. Those are very high quality meshes. There's two kinds. That's quad's the one you want for e-commerce. And then you have to put a texture on it, right? So you have the mesh, and then it's like, do I want leather? Is it going to be plastic? Is it going to be metal? Is it going to be wood? Those are the textures that go on it. So we create the quad meshes out of CAD files. So computer aided design, anything you manufacture basically is created with a CAD file. We import the CAD file onto our platform. It spits out a 3D model, and then you point on the texture you want. You want leather, plastic, and the color, and point on the 3D model, and like magic, it changes color and it changes the texture. And then you can publish that onto the web. So we used to have to manually create the 3D model, which took hours. At one point, it took a week. And we had to manually apply the texture, which again took hours, sometimes weeks. And then the lighting becomes a big part of it too. Like it has to, have the right lighting, the right shading. It's a complex, process actually to just make one. We make thousands of these on a monthly basis for Amazon. And we are one of the few companies that can scale the production of 3D models at a low cost, high quality quad mesh, where it's photorealistic, where you could zoom in to infinity and it won't pixelate, right? It'll look like, it's still the object. That's very, very hard to do. Again, we're pioneers in the space. We're a preferred 3D model supplier for Amazon. Amazon is the 800-pound gorilla. They really are. They are the biggest player in e-commerce. Maybe they're 1,000 pounds. I don't know, they're huge. And so we have been working with them for a year and a half. They've trained us on their platform. We're integrated in their system. And we actually have the right to bring 3D models onto the Amazon platform. We sell Amazon corporate, but they've Seller Central is where all the merchants bring their products on. And right now, if you were a merchant, Eddie, you can't bring a 3D model onto Amazon. You have to go through NexTech. You can't do it yourself. We're a preferred supplier because it's complicated. And so over time, Amazon's entire platform is going to go from 2D images to 3D. That is a huge transformation. It's the equivalent of Kodak film and Fuji film to digital. Well, now it's going from digital to 3D, right? And from the 3D model, you can actually create digital pictures. So you create the 3D model, and then you can literally press a button and the AI will spin it around and take 10 or 20 or however many photorealistic images you want. Then the AI will create a background. It could be lifestyle image, right? And all of a sudden, for pennies on the dollar, what used to cost tens of thousands of dollars and more, and what used to take weeks and months and more, now is done in a day for just a small amount of money. So technology is really taking off in the world of e-commerce, in the world of indoor navigation, which you talked about. Like, to us, indoor navigation sucks. Nobody uses indoor navigation. You use it for GPS outdoors, sure, if you're driving somewhere. But have you ever used indoor navigation? I mean, all it is like a blue dot on the screen, right? It's pretty bad. So we've pioneered, as you said, with Nick, this indoor navigation that's immersive using augmented reality, where there's a pathway. I call it the yellow brick road, that's overlaid on top of the floor in augmented reality. You just follow it from point A to point B, and it's actually fun. It's almost gamified. And so the experience is great. The use case is great. And it works without any hardware. It's kind of a magical technology. There's a lot of AI algorithms that we've built to allow this technology to work, and we're still building it. It's still kind of early days.
Right. So, a bunch of AR spatial tech companies, AI companies. What comes next for you? I mean, ARway was an Indian company. India is growing very rapidly. When I started in XR, there was somewhere around 10 startups. Today, there's close to 1,000 plus AR startups in the country across, hardware and software. We building AR glasses, VR glasses, and software stack and services and solutions. Uh, are you interested or looking at the startups here in India? And what's your approach when you acquire a company? What is it that you look for?
So yeah, I mean, we now have our central office in Hyderabad, India. We also have an office in Bangalore where Nick is. So we're embedded in India. We love India. The people there are very industrious, and the cost is very reasonable. So it becomes a no-brainer, really. But you do need a local guide. And so we do have that with Harish Achi, who worked at Microsoft for a decade, and he grew up, I think, in Hyderabad, and then he moved to the States, and now he just came back. He was there for 3 weeks. He set up our office there. We have over 100 people working there. I love seeing, the incense that gets lit when we open up a new office. I love all of that. And, I asked him to bring me back an elephant, but he said probably not going to happen. But you know, I really find that there's a lot of interest in our technology from India. The challenge with India that we are having is that the local market has a completely different economy, a completely different pricing structure. And so if we're in North America and we're selling into India, which we are, the the price, it has to be like 90% less for there to even be a conversation. And so it's an interesting dynamic, right? Because yeah, it's a completely different economic structure. having said that, you know, there's a lot of things, a lot of potential new technologies that I'm looking at, even in blockchain. So I actually see blockchain and AI as two complementary technologies and two technologies that are probably going to do a lot together. And so I'm looking at blockchain. I'm looking at our 3D modeling business. I'm looking at our indoor navigation business, and I'm saying, wow, so many opportunities, so many use cases. We got to pick the right ones, right? We can't spread ourselves too thin, and we got to pick the right ones. And I would also say, so we're figuring it out, I guess is my point, Eddie. We haven't figured it all out yet. We're trying to get these businesses to scale. And then I think we could, start to bring on more. But when it comes to, where we were a few minutes ago, that, there's going to be a displacement and disruption of jobs. I really want your audience to think about this because this is not a light matter. And this is not something that I'm talking about 10 years from now. This is happening now. It's already happened. Entire marketing departments, entire copyright editing departments are being replaced by AI. Their layoffs have already begun. It's just getting started. I would urge your viewers to look out. Either they have to develop an AI company themselves, or, like I said, find something like the food business where it's insulated from AI, where the AI, it's like, I couldn't imagine. I haven't actually come up with anything other than food. Any ideas you have, Eddie, where AI can't get to it?
So I don't think there is any sector which AI is not going to touch. I mean, not even food, because so far, I think the AI itself is in a narrow intelligence, and it can do a specific thing, excel it. But yes, there are some of the largest companies in the world who are working on building an artificial general intelligence. Though it seems far away, but even these large language models, these are multimodal large language models. It can do not one thing, but it can do many things. So I, I don't really know whether we can really escape from AI. And plus, I think we live in a capitalistic world where you mentioned we are forever looking at optimization. And in that process of optimization, where does a human stand with a limited skill and abilities? So
Yeah.
I'm sure with these robots, I was just checking out this video last night of Figure robot, and the way it does speech reasoning is so awesome. There are robots which are doing task in the kitchen, a specific task, maybe just lifting up like a plate and keeping it. But I'm sure with the acceleration of technology and these new papers which are being released, launched every next day, I don't think artificial general is very far away. Artificial general intelligence is very far away. From there, what happens to humanity if we don't kind of find an answer where we look at a collective benefit? I don't really know where we're going to go, because so far everything, the businesses work in a top-down hierarchical way. We live in a capitalistic structure, and even the companies that have AI is one or two if you go to see. And as soon, I mean, it's run by just maybe a handful of people, and so my hope wish is that it gets democratized, and maybe somehow there is these convergence where we use blockchain or other technologies to maybe distribute the powers in hands of various stakeholders, so that we find answers to these questions like what happens with AI automation, because I don't think we're looking at that all, because we live in a world where profit at any cost is everybody's goal, including mine. I mean, because that's the way we function. We made to function, because I've got a family to run, I've got a business to run, and we live in an environment which is capitalistic. So I don't think we have an answer. I don't think there is a sector which AI is not going to reach. So yes, I think maybe what we need to do is be a little bit more cognizant about the data also that we are creating, because AI is learning on the data, and
Yeah.
we are spawning a child that's
Yeah.
being trained on our data, and the kind of things that we put out on internet, right from your terrorism to our politics, which is so divisive, to our religion, which is extremely dividing,
Right.
to the monetary system itself. It's divides us. We need
Right.
something that unites us. So I don't really know that if we have an answer. My last question to you: how do you see this panning out in the next couple of years? And what's your moonshot? What comes next for you?
So it's funny you mentioned moonshot. So let's just review 1 second. You brought up a lot of great, you know, thoughts and comments, and really, I could tell you've been thinking about this a lot, Eddie. So I've been thinking about it too, and listening to experts in the field and so-called experts. And I think you're right. So it's learning on the data, and it's our data. But the singularity event is when it exceeds our intelligence. Okay, so that means it starts to think for itself. So, okay, so does it then realize that our world is ridiculous? Like the things we value. Like you brought up all the problems with all the stuff we value, and we're human. Okay, so the AI is going to figure that out.
Answers, because
People are ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Back to my moonshot. Look, I'm at the point now where I've accomplished an enormous amount in my life. I've gone through a lot of ups and a lot of downs, and it is rough, being an entrepreneur and starting these companies. I mean, it's like I liken it to like a battle. You go into the jungle and you're hacking your way through the thick, jungle, and there's all kinds of deadly animals, and there's all kinds of ways for you to die out there. So it's a very, very complicated thing. I've been living in the jungle for decades, so I know my way around the jungle. I would say, in life, there's really two very important lessons that we learn. And it really boils down to what to do and what not to do. That really is the two life lessons. There's everything beyond that is kind of the noise. And so, it's more about what not to do, actually, because, that's going down the wrong path than it is. If you're on the right path, that's you're good, right? It's not going to be perfect, but it's good. I feel like I'm on the right path. I'm doing what I was born to do. This is who I am. And I feel very comfortable with what I've done, what I've accomplished. As far as the next thing, as we're talking, there's a lot going on in this world. I'm trying to figure it out, and I'm not quite there yet. I feel good about what we have at NexTech with the 3D modeling and the texturing and the augmented reality. I'm kind of pretty busy right now with all the building that tech, Eddie. So, the incubator and the new development of AI, I see that happening in the future, but it's something that I'm focused on today.
Right. So Ivan, it was a pleasure to speak to you. Yes, I mean, life is about keeping it simple. I keep on telling my son, do the right things will happen. Do the wrong
That's it.
things, and the wrong things will happen. And
That's
but
it.
you said something in the course of the conversation that your life's been quite rough. I wouldn't mind the rough with the 40x on cannabis in 18 months. So thank you, Ivan. Really appreciate you taking time and being part of the podcast. And my listeners, if you like what you see in here, then please press the subscribe button. Until next time, see you guys. Bye-bye. Thank you. Appreciate this.